It's titled The Theater Bug. I'm going to Toronto. My parents were momentarily flabbergasted. Well, if you're set on this crazy theater thing of yours, Toronto is the best place to be. I'm perfectly set. Then you'll just have to get an honest job and save for the fare. After all, it's 3,000 miles and your BA must count for something. I'm going tomorrow, I said, striking a pose with my thumb up. The next morning saw me on the side of the road as far east as one streetcar ticket would take me. I had an enthusiastic thumb and $11.56. It was August 1949 and I was 23. By early afternoon I reached Hope. The next ride was with a young couple, Fred and Peg, who were taking some furniture to their cabin in the Okanagan Valley. I stood in the back. After a spectacular ride up the Fraser Canyon, they stopped at a pull-off. They invited me to share their picnic. While Fred checked the truck, Peg confided in me, "I'm so glad you're with us. The truck has been acting up lately. If something should happen, well, you know." Fred suggested I get off in Kamloops, where the hitching would be better, but I told him the farther the better. He pressed a $2 bill into my hand and told me to use it on food. Don't let on to Peg. When we got to the junction, Peg wanted to shake hands with me. In her hand was another $2 bill. Her glance said, "Don't let on to Fred." I walked, it was midnight. The darkness was complete, and it felt like rain. I walked into a field, got out my new plastic raincoat, and curled up inside it. At dawn, I was awakened by a loud, harsh sound, like a hungover giant clearing his throat. It was a cow towering over me. I had thought the cows only went moo. This one looked at me, realized I wasn't about to milk her, and turned her big brown eyes elsewhere. On the highway, I had short rides with friendly people, interspersed with walking in scorching heat. By 3 in the afternoon, I had only got to Revelstoke. What I faced there was a rough gravel road onward to Golden. On a flash of inspiration, I found a railway yard and went into the roundhouse. "Can anyone here tell me how to hop a freight?" The fellow nearest to me looked shocked. "You must have a guardian angel. If Ralph had been here, you would be in deep trouble." Across the road was a beer parlor, and I bought him a couple of beers, nursing one myself. He told me about the railway cop that everyone called El Groucho. I got a quick but detailed course on how to hop a freight, when and where it was safe from El Groucho. I was there when the highball blew. That's a short 3-blast whistle to indicate an imminent departure. As the train gathered speed, I grabbed a side ladder and held on. Around the curve, when it was safe from El Groucho's sight, I climbed to the top. It was a short train, only 8 cars, but no caboose. At first I settled on the last car. The locomotive was coal burning. When it went through the first of many tunnels, the heat and smoke clamped down on me. The Connaught Tunnel through the Rogers Pass was 5 miles long. I took out my spare shirt and doused it with water and breathed through it. The breathing got harder and harder. My mind told me it was only 10 minutes or so. My lungs gulped in disbelief. I kept thinking that others had made it, and I could too. When I thought I had breathed my last, the heat and smoke let up, and we came into the moonlight. Sunday morning was quiet in Calgary. I happened to see my reflection in a store window and was shocked. I looked like a wild man. The bus depot was near, so I went in to clean up. Out on the highway, the hitchhiking wasn't bad, and it was a nice day. I had managed to buy a box of raisins. By mid-afternoon, I had got into Saskatchewan at Swift Current. The railway yard was handy, so I rested there. That was where I met Ulrich. I shared my raisins with him, so he compromised by calling me Raisins. Ulrich had a learning problem. The one thing he knew well was how to travel by freight trains. We caught a coal train going east and shared the windbreak of my raincoat and the snacking of my raisins. I was permanently changed by my acquaintance with Ulrich. The person inside him was warm and worth knowing. Morning saw us in Winnipeg, his hometown. Ulrich led the way to his family house, and I stayed overnight. The next morning I thanked his mother for her hospitality. Ulrich took me out to the highway. When I got to Kenora, I realized two things. I was in Ontario, but I had 1,400 miles to go to Toronto. I headed to the railway yard. I was overconfident to the point of stupidity. A railway cop chased me. I ran with desperation.
And